Hello. I've come up with some ways to come up with music triggers and sound effect triggers in Wise in Unreal Engine 5. I'm using a test level from the marketplace. I couldn't pull any stuff from the Google Drive, so I'm just using this. Okay, so here I'll play some music and I'll show you what we've got. So right now we have the Spargus theme playing. I'm using a box trigger to trigger a state in Wise to play this. I've also got some sound effects. You can see on the top left it's identifying a switch I called carpet because I'm very good at naming what is clearly dirt. And you can see I've got that red line just showing me when it comes in contact with collision. And then it tells me what the collision is. So you can see that I've got some material called carpet that plays. When I walk on a wood surface, it plays a wood sound effect, and then I'll go back to carpet. So that we're just using some switches, and I turn those switches. I made them correspond to a material, and then I attach those materials to textures. So when I walk on a texture, triggers the material, which triggers the switch, which plays the sound effect, carpet and or wood. So we're about to enter a trigger. We're about to switch from our Spargus music, and when I cross this bridge, it will enter another trigger box that'll trigger the Forbidden Woods music. Yay! So now we're here in Forbidden Woods. So I'll show you how we did this. So we've got some box triggers here. These box triggers don't need to be this big at all. So this trigger box is the Spargus music. It does not need to be this big. Same thing with the forest trigger box. It literally could just be on this bridge, and then the moment the player character comes in contact with the bridge, it'll trigger the state, which will change the music. It does not need to be this big. If a player leaves the trigger box, the music will continue to play still. It doesn't need to constantly be within the box in order for the music to play. Same thing with this. We just put the trigger where the player enters any sort of area or any number of, which cover the entire way that he can enter a certain area, and then Jack will trigger the music. So all I've got is these. Here, I'll go up to one of these trigger boxes. I've got this trigger box, and in the blueprint I've got just a way that tells it only activates when the actor trigger comes with, or the player comes in contact with this trigger box, which will trigger this state change. And then I'm just pulling from my state group, which is background music, which is just a bank of states essentially. And then this state called Spargus corresponds to the music Spargus. And so we've got that. I've got the same thing on this little trigger box over here. You can see it just corresponds with Forbidden Woods state. That's it. And then I put the actual where you at? The actual event trigger is on the player herself. So she'll trigger it. Her initial state is none. And then it's the actual interaction of coming and interacting with those trigger boxes that sets a state. So her state is none. Therefore, if she was not in a trigger box, nothing would play. I mean, I can set it to where no matter what a certain thing will play, I can do that in Wwise. That even if none is the state, we can still have some music or something going on. And she herself actually posts the event I made, the AK event in music or in Wwise called Play Music. That's our music event. So when she spawns, the music event is played, and then obviously she herself is the source where the audio is coming from. In terms of the footsteps, the dynamic footsteps, those are a little bit more complicated. She has two separate animations for playing her, or her walk and her run. So we've got two different notifies going on, and depending on what animation is triggering what notify, we'll play different types of sounds. So this is just going by that, determining what notify is being played, where the source of the sound is coming from, and then this is what is checking. This is that red string that you see, and this is checking what material we are coming into contact with. Switch group is called material. It's just a bank of different materials I made, and it's determining the switch state. So whatever switch I've assigned to that texture is what is being played. And then this is just, again, are we walking or are we running? So let's see. You can also hear why we're using Wwise in the first place is so we can dynamically change between these things, right? So you can hear when I go up here and I transition from our Spargus music into our Forbidden Woods music that we have playing. You're going to hear it kind of fade out and then fade in. Right? And that is a rule I've set in Wwise. We can see here in Wwise that these are our different states that I've made. So you can see here in Wwise that I've created a transition rule that anytime, and we can make this for anything we set in Wwise, we can set up a transition rule for any type of music or anything, that anytime Forbidden Jungle music is playing and then we switch to Spargus music, I'm deciding when we leave Spargus, and here I have it on the next beat. I could wait till the next bar of music. I could wait until the entirety of the clip is played. Right now I just have it on the next beat because that's the fastest. Yeah, we could also change it immediately. It doesn't sound very musical, so next beat is a lot more musical to me. And we determine this by setting a BPM of each music instance, and then Wwise will take care of musically transitioning between the two. And I made a fade out and fade in rule. Here I just arbitrarily decided, 0.8 will be our fade out time, and then fade in of the next cue, which is 1.2. Again, arbitrary. I just pick numbers. So it sounds very musical. It sounds very clean. Here in the footsteps, yeah, we have some switch groups. All right, I think that explained everything. Right, so this is how we're going to be triggering our music in levels. If you have any questions or any, criticisms, please let me know. That's all I got.